What if I told you that a player once written off as a draft bust became one of the NBA's most impactful defensive specialists? The story of Kris Dunn's career resurrection challenges everything we think we know about second chances in professional basketball. When the Minnesota Timberwolves selected Kris Dunn as their 5th overall pick in the 2016 NBA draft, expectations were sky high for the Providence College standout. Fast forward just 1 year, and those same expectations had crumbled into disappointment. Dunn's inaugural NBA campaign told a harsh story. A meager 3.8 points per game, 2.4 assists, and 2.1 rebounds as a 22-year-old first-year player. The numbers were so underwhelming that Minnesota didn't hesitate to package him in the blockbuster Jimmy Butler trade after just 1 season. But here's where most people get the story wrong. They assume this was the end of Dunn's potential. The Chicago Bulls saw something different in the young guard, and their faith initially appeared justified. During his sophomore season, Dunn exploded offensively, averaging 13.4 points per game and showing flashes of the player scouts had fallen in love with during his college days. For a moment, it seemed like the narrative was shifting in his favor. Yet the basketball gods weren't finished testing Dunn's resolve. Following his 3-year stint with Chicago, his professional future looked bleaker than ever. Between 2020 and 2023, Dunn became a basketball nomad, suiting up for merely 40 games across 3 different franchises. His offensive struggles, particularly his inconsistent shooting and limited scoring ability, appeared to be systematically pushing him toward the league's exit door. And this is the part most people miss. How a player can completely reinvent their value proposition in today's NBA. Dunn's transformation over the past 2 seasons reads like a masterclass in career reinvention, reaching its pinnacle during his remarkable campaign with the Los Angeles Clippers. While his statistical output of 6.4 points, 3.4 rebounds, and 2.8 assists might not dazzle casual observers, these numbers tell only a fraction of his actual impact story. What truly matters is how Dunn discovered his calling as an elite defensive anchor. The secret to Dunn's career salvation lies in his defensive mastery, a skill set that became his professional lifeline. The 6'3" guard had always possessed solid perimeter defending capabilities, but something clicked in recent years that elevated him to an entirely different stratosphere. His defensive metrics paint the picture of a player who had finally found his NBA identity. Opponents managed just 43.3% shooting when matched up against him, while his defensive on-off rating showed a staggering -4.1 swing in favor of his team. What makes Dunn particularly valuable in today's positionless basketball landscape is his versatility. Beyond his perimeter lockdown abilities, his physical dimensions allow him to switch onto opposing wings when defensive schemes demand it. His off-ball disruption skills are equally impressive, as evidenced by his 2.1 combined steals and blocks per game, a stat basketball insiders call stocks. This complete defensive package made him an ideal complement to James Harden's offensive brilliance and helped anchor the Clippers' 3rd-ranked defensive unit. Here's something that might spark some debate. If Dunn hadn't been subjected to minute restrictions, there's a legitimate argument he would have earned all defensive team recognition last season. That raises an interesting question about how we evaluate defensive impact versus traditional counting stats. While defense became his calling card, Dunn's offensive contributions shouldn't be completely dismissed. He's developed into a reliable finisher around the rim and serves as an effective connective playmaker who understands his role within team offensive schemes. He's learned to maximize his limited touches rather than forcing situations beyond his skill set. Looking back at his journey from Minnesota, it's impossible not to feel genuinely happy for Dunn's perseverance paying off. His path to discovering a sustainable NBA role represents one of the league's most compelling redemption narratives. While it's purely hypothetical, imagine how his elite defensive capabilities might fit within Minnesota's current defensive culture and identity. His skill set seems tailor-made for their system, though he's clearly found his perfect professional home with the Clippers. Even with Los Angeles's significant off-season roster additions, Dunn's defensive impact virtually guarantees his continued rotation role. His story challenges conventional wisdom about when players can successfully reinvent themselves. But here's where it gets controversial. Should former lottery picks who struggle initially get more patience, or was Minnesota right to move on quickly? While late career breakouts aren't completely unprecedented in NBA history, they're remarkably rare among high draft picks who showed early struggles. Dunn's journey represents something special, proof that players can completely redefine their professional value, even after appearing destined for league exile. What do you think? Does Dunn's story prove that teams give up on young talent too quickly, or does it show that sometimes a change of scenery and role clarity is exactly what struggling players need? Should defensive specialists like Dunn receive more recognition in discussions about valuable NBA players, or will offense always be king? Share your thoughts below. I'm genuinely curious whether you believe more teams should be patient with defensively gifted players who struggle offensively early in their careers.